Hey guys, I've been asked a few times lately what the biggest lessons I've learned about the journey into entrepreneurship. So, voila, let's have a podcast episode about it. So, I'm breaking down the top 5 most common mistakes that new entrepreneurs make and how to avoid them. Let's talk entrepreneurship. A little bit of background. So, the primary function of my business is helping folks become entrepreneurs by breaking down the barriers of entry into this unlimited abundance lifestyle. So many of us are driven as heck. So many of us are hard workers, and so many of us are doing it for someone else's bottom line, building someone else's dream, because we're often too afraid of failure or have convinced ourselves that we don't have enough time or money or resources to start our own thing. So now I'm not going to cover all of the reasons that folks never even start their own business, because I actually did that in a prior episode. I released it on January 25th of 2025. So if you're wondering like why maybe even you haven't started that dream business yet, that could be a really good episode to go take a listen to. Okay, so what happens when someone finally makes the decision, whoop, 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 that they are going to explore this whole entrepreneurial landscape? Well, you get to work. Okay, so today I want to share the top 5 lessons that I've either personally learned or have seen other new entrepreneurs make, so that as you're like humming along and starting your journey, that you don't lose your time, your money, or your efforts to these newbie mistakes. So the very first one, no structure in your day to day. Number 2 is you prioritize the completion of your website over revenue generating activities. Number 3 is that your offer gets created in a box, AKA that means it's good luck if it's going to be profitable. Number 4 is you sit there and you're trying to DIY everything. Not recommended. And number 5 is you undervalue yourself and your prices reflect it. So let's dive into each of these. So this is going to be a jam-packed episode. So we're going to dive right on into number 1 mistake that new entrepreneurs make, and it's that their day-to-day lacks structure and there is no routine. Now, I think that as a new entrepreneur, like there's this, or even just entrepreneurs in general, that there's this perception out there that one of the reasons you actually get into entrepreneurship is because of the freedom to control your own schedule, your own time, right? Which, yes, you are so right. You don't have someone telling you to clock in at 8 a.m. or to take a lunch at this time or to tell you how many days of vacation you can have. Well, my friend, what you do have is that with great freedom comes great responsibility. I remember early on in my own entrepreneurial journey, and I was one of my favorite places to sit is on my back patio. And so I was sitting on the back patio, I'm sitting in the sun, and I'm just reflecting on my day. And it kind of hits me that I'm not actually really sure what I had done that day. And believe me, like as your high achiever, I've never been lazy, or I sure know I hadn't spent my day just like scrolling YouTube videos necessarily. But I also know that I had not held myself accountable for setting time aside and being like structured and accountable to the activities that I would need in order to actually like progress my business. So I started playing just with different parts of my day, that like I would do podcast related activities, or other parts where I'd focus on reaching out to new connections, or other times when like I'd work on my website. At first, I started with just daily list of to-do items. And then that gradually turned into actually like pre-planning my day hour by hour. And I was doing this the evening prior. So for instance, a day would look like from 4:30 to 6:30 a.m. I'm on podcast writing. From 6:30 to 8:30, I'm getting my kids ready for school, taking them to drop off. 8:30 to 10:30, I was commuting and then going to my Orange Theory workout. 10:30 to 11:30, I was focusing on new outreach. 11:30 to 1:30 was content creation. And then 1:30 to 3, I was doing any follow-ups, because then 3 onward was all kids and family. And I know that's really that's some really specific details. Again, just if at all that will help you, you're going to have to figure out your own schedule. But just starting daily, how am I going to use my hours? How am I going to use my minutes? Even then, I will say that my schedule was still lacking results and real progress. The biggest game changer from a results and a progress standpoint actually came when I started pre-planning my weeks. So instead of just looking at the day and trying to piece together and touch everything for my business all in one day, I started seeing the value that came as I looked across the entire week. So I started recognizing that, excuse me, I started recognizing that if I had Monday morning be my podcast writing, and then Monday afternoon could be my content creation, I was batching the work I was doing. So then come Tuesday, I could spend the entire day on client outreach and client calls versus just a couple hours. Then by Wednesday morning, I was focusing on strategy, because that's really important to actually take that time to just sit and dream and look at things big picture. Otherwise, we get too in the weeds. And then the afternoon of Wednesdays, that was normally back end copywriting efforts, followed by Thursdays, where again, I got to be entirely client focused. Do you already hear a difference here? And then Friday morning, I was wrapping up some administrative stuff and then pre-planning the week ahead. And then by Friday noonish, I actually shot to be done and ready and headed into my weekend with my family. So just looking at the week as a whole, what it allowed me to do is it allowed me to be more focused and to drive bigger results. And even now, I will tell you, I'm starting to be able to plan a few things a couple weeks or even months in advance. For instance, I've got a webinar. I'm looking at my whiteboard over there. So I've got a webinar scheduled that takes me through August, and that feels really good. So now, even more than that leap from daily to weekly, I'm really starting to see the impact. So the summary here is that we've got to be intentional with our time. And if we're not, then progress will be minimal. And we can't get sad about that, or we can't throw our hands up so early and say, well, this whole entrepreneurship thing, it didn't work, because we really diligent enough. And, kind of the workaround here is just to start by creating a daily plan, feel it out, pay attention to what works or what feels difficult or what moves the needle or what doesn't move the needle, and then start planning your week, and then continue to adjust as needed. And then eventually we're going to start getting weeks and months and quarters in advance, so that we're always ahead of our business. And that, whew, hallelujah, that sounds like a good place to be. All right, number 2. Oh, what I wish everyone would know about the importance, or the lack thereof, of having a website. So many entrepreneurs, we put all of this emphasis on having the perfect website because it's going to make me look more credible in the marketplace, or it's really going to help attract people to me, or it's really going to grow my list, or all of the reasons that oh, it's going to display my brand the way I want. All of these things that we convince ourselves, but that's just not true. Eeks. Okay, so another personal story that I can share on this one. I completely developed my own website years before I actually had a real business. And then you want to know what happened? By the time I actually launched my business, that website I had created for my part-time side hustle, yeah, I shut it down because it was actually hurting this brand that had already evolved, and this business and these strategies and the ways that I could serve it. It was no longer an accurate reflection of what I was really building. And I think back to the countless, and I mean countless number of hours spent on this website as I was like DIYing it and attempting to figure it all out. And sure, yes, there's templates out there that help a heck of a lot, but you're still figuring it out, all just to then shut the website down when I actually started getting my feet underneath me as an entrepreneur. Like, oh, right. Time is valuable. And I definitely learned the hard way on that one. So that's why I want to bring that one forth. It's just that what I wish I would have known, and what I tell my clients now as new entrepreneurs, is that you do not need full blown websites. You just don't. What you need is a way for people to see what you do and how it can serve them, which now with all this technology out there, like you could totally do via a social media platform or even just a single solid sales landing page. So do not, I repeat, do not, unless your business is entirely solely an online storefront, okay, then you do not need a website to be seen as reputable or for your business to be considered a real business. Does a website help? Yes, if it's done the right way. Okay. It does a website maybe bring in leads? Yes, if it's done the right way. Is a website a credibility standpoint or a way for someone to like see maybe your past experience, or like I know for me, landing speaking deals. I know that does help when they can go and actually see like my speaking background. So a website helps, but it's not the thing that we should be spending our time on. So your time would be better spent talking with potential clients, gaining real feedback, making new connections, discussing greater collaborations. Like that would be the revenue generating activity that could fuel you eventually even outsourcing website development later on, when you know what your brand really looks like, when you know what your business really looks like, when you know like the right copy that's really going to pull in the right client. Is a website nice to have? Yes. Does it help tell a story, get folks connected to you? It does if it's set up the right way. But the more that you actually get your feet underneath you, and I know I'm being a little repetitive here, but I just feel this one, the more that you're going to settle into who you really want to show up as for your business. So instead of putting that effort towards a website, focus on making sure that you've got an online presence, whether that's like a via social media platform or a consolidated landing page, but you don't need the full website. All right, moving on, because I think we beat that one pretty good. So number 3, your offer, the biggest, like most common mistake here is that your offer gets created in a box. Here's what I mean. Did you know that of the 20% of businesses that fail in their first year, that actually 42% of those businesses cite that it is because there's no actual market for their product or service? So what I'm hearing is almost half of the failing businesses are saying that they don't have buyers for what they sell. That absolutely blows my mind. And I have got to say that it's exactly why the second step of my launching your purpose-driven business launchpad framework, why it's all about validating that there is in fact a real market for your business idea and actually identifying profitability. Right? Like, how important is this? Because you put your heart and your soul into creating a business, and then could you imagine no one buys from you? What you have then is a passion or a hobby, not an actual business, you see? Like, people need to pay for what you've got to offer. So when you are creating that thing that you are going to ask people for money for, you want to take the steps along the way to get feedback, to test it out, to make sure that you are really solving a problem that folks are looking for a solution to before you full send that offer out into the market. So do your research, try some things, and then launch and learn. All right, number 4, most common mistake entrepreneurs make is trying to do everything yourself. While yes, I get it. You're most likely a one-person show at the beginning. Samesies, okay? which means that running lean, I would say it's running lean is actually an understatement, I think, when you first start out, right? So where can you lean in to help? First things first, if you're not talking about what you're doing and what you've got on your plate, then don't expect people to know or for them to offer assistance. Like you must be forthcoming. All right. So what one of my friends said that it's situational vulnerability. So no, right. But you must be forthcoming about the areas where you know you may not love this aspect of the business, or where you may want additional assistance with this marketing or with this scheduling or with those connection calls or that website design or this email copy or whatever it is. Because if people can help you, a lot of times they'll offer. And sometimes they may offer to assist for like a short while as a volunteer. I've got a dear friend who, I mean, she had volunteers working for her for like 7 years. Or other times, like you may find ways to collaborate in what will be mutually beneficial ways. Like, hey, maybe it's a strength for you to do website design. And so you could easily help them with their website. Why they, it's easy. It would be easy for them. They're already applying to a couple different speaking stages. So maybe they could help out with that. Or maybe they're already connected. Maybe you want to start a coffee shop, which is so funny. I'm throwing that one out there because everyone right now seems to want to start a coffee shop. I just love it. So maybe they can help pull in some focus groups for you, or you never know, but there's ways that you can mutually find some space that you can help each other. Because at the end of the day, you are right. Like you are one person with only so many hours in the day. So where can you ask for help? Asking for help is another big one. Like you have to actually be able to say, hey, I'm struggling here. Where could you potentially leverage a trade with those strengths for someone else's strengths? And then too, like get creative. And just know that there are tools, there are templates, there are freelancers, there are professionals, there are AI bots, there are communities, there are coaches, and there's so much at your disposal to help you launch. You do not have to do it all by yourself. And a lot of times, even too, you can do it with minimal investment. Just know though, what you invest, you want to make sure that you're getting it back tenfold. And then number five most common mistake is undervaluing yourself and your prices reflect it. And this one is tough. Okay. I literally just had a conversation the other day with this total powerhouse of an entrepreneur. And she just hosted, oh man, she just hosted this beautifully curated event for about 20 people. I mean, with a full brunch, a direct connection to several vendors, and they raised money for a charity. Like for all of the hours and all of the efforts that this powerhouse put in to get people there and to coordinate and to set up and market, and every little piece of effort that was poured into it with her strengths and her superpowers. And if she's being really honest with herself, she lost. She lost a lot of money. She lost a lot of money, lost a lot of time. And sure, like maybe sometimes things happen. Maybe sometimes like we do things for we'll say a discount, or we recognize that payment may not always be financially based. And until we do start like gaining some of that confidence, it's not uncommon for us to set our expectations and our prices for our services or our products as low as we can, right? Like as low as we possibly can go, just to at least start somewhere or get some basic sales. I want to challenge you to stop it. I know it's so hard. And I only say it, right, because I've been there. So what I will say is that you absolutely have worked your tail off, and you have absolutely earned the stripes to be where you are at today at this starting line of your own business. Sure, the logo or the business name may be new, but you, my friend, have been preparing for this your entire life. Like every time you learned a lesson that taught you how to have some grit or some hustle or some compassion, you were being prepared for this. every time you created something new, right? Creation, like a new meal, a new artistic creation, a new experience, or you put, heck, even a new outfit on, like your creative ability was being formed and continues to grow every single day. All of the experience, everything you've created or been a part of, everything you've loved or absolutely hated, like you've stored away key elements of those things that you need in your entrepreneurial journey here today. Best advice I've ever got is that you've been putting in the work to be here for a long time. You're not a newbie, all right? Like you're so valuable. My entrepreneurial friend, you are so valuable, and you are worth what you actually should be charging. And if you're doubting, like, oh, no one would pay this much to have this thing or to have me do this thing or whatever, right? Like we want to make ourselves believe. Just let me remind you that there are a lot of other people charging even more than you think you should be. And guess what? They have successful businesses because people are absolutely paying that price and more. You are valuable. I want you to act like it, okay? And make sure that your price is reflected as appropriate too. And just like that, my friends, there we have it. The 5 most common mistakes that I see brand new entrepreneurs making, including a few I fell into. So our unjuggle summary with the newbie entrepreneurial mistakes and the unjuggle solution is that, so the number one mistake is that there's no structure in your day to day. So how are you going to avoid it? You're going to plan your day, and then you're going to learn to plan your week in advance. You're going to know what is going to move your business and to make sure that you prioritize that thing. Number 2 mistake is that you prioritize the completion of your website over revenue generating activities. But instead, you're not going to fall into this trap. Instead, you're going to focus on connecting with your potential clients and dialing in what that brand tone really looks like and that copy and that solution first. Number 3 mistake is that your offer gets created in a box, which means good luck if it's going to be profitable. So that's not a mistake that you're going to make though, because you are going to do your research. You are going to get some feedback. You're going to test some ideas, and then you are going to launch and learn. Number 4 lesson learned is just trying to DIY everything. Entrepreneurship doesn't have to be lonely. Talk about what you need. Like, be willing to leverage your strengths and the strengths of others, and stop trying to DIY everything. So this is the whole like work smarter, not harder thing. And then number 5 most common entrepreneurial pitfall to avoid is undervaluing yourself and having your prices reflect that. Just remember that you've been preparing for this moment your entire life. Every experience you've had and all the things you've learned have compounded into this moment where you're stepping into this entrepreneurial journey. You are valuable. You have done the hard work. Now get paid for it by making sure that your prices align appropriately. I'm excited for you. If you've listened through this episode, then you're already taking action and walking through the type of resources and education that is out there to aid and fast track your business. So you are going to crush this whole entrepreneurial thing. I just know it. And you are going to unlock that unlimited income and freedom and joy for yourself. And if all of this is resonating with you, just please know that I'd love to continue to be a resource for you as you start or scale your purpose-driven business. I've got self-guided like resources with, 20 lessons, like how you can build your business step by step, from gaining clarity around your idea to setting up your business legally, to then identifying which tech you're going to need, and then how to actually like build that brand presence in front of your ideal client so that they can actually buy from you. So whether it's an e-course or whether it's one-on-one personalized coaching, I've got a webinar out there, like I had mentioned a couple times. That's find your profitable business idea and take action. Like, let's do this thing together. because you're not alone and your impact is meant for so much more. So be sure to check out the show notes or just reach out directly at info@brittanytillenshee.com and I will personally respond. I'm looking forward to it. So thanks again for listening. Leaving a review for the show too. I appreciate you. And I can't wait to see just how you continue to thrive as one heck of an entrepreneur. Until next time, bye. Hey, thanks for listening to today's episode. It means the world to me that you're here to ride in the struggle bus with me and that you're willing to consider different perspectives, tools, and techniques that just might provide a little bit of relief and get you one step closer to the abundance that is available and waiting for us all. I hope you take a moment to grant yourself some grace where you've been denying it, some love where you didn't realize maybe it was right in front of you, and some faith where you thought all was lost. If this episode had an impact on you, would you please share a comment with a review? I'd love to hear what landed for you, and it helps us get the word out to our fellow struggle bus riders. So please review what was impactful for you. Just know these episodes are a pure labor of love in a space where I'm growing alongside you. I'm evolving every day, and I look forward to all the ways and the things and the perspectives and opinions and choices that will change over the course of time in my own life, day to day. Until next time, just know that you are loved, you are divinely cared for, and in the struggle, the journey of this life really is beautiful. I'm glad that we're in it together. Cheers.